Hey everybody, welcome back. Now you know these came out from Flytanium, some new G10 scales for the Benchmade Taggedout. They have that kind of crossfade milling through here that we're familiar with the bug out, which I may have one of those sitting to the side we'll look at in a minute. But these came out for the Benchmade Taggedout. So you know it's so thin, so slicey, so lightweight. And of course they come with the orange FRN Griveries and these beautiful orange barrel spacers. So the question is it going to make it a little bit more in weight, or is it going to make it a little less? We don't know. But we do have some really cool tools. We have the Flytanium pivot tool. It's got the flat side, so we'll be able to take it off side by side. So we'll put this up here. We also have some Weehawk bits, the cool tourist driver in that anodized aluminum blue that we love so much. But let's go ahead, get this sticker out of here. I ordered these and I'm pretty impressed. Now, they don't have a lot of milling on the inside for weight reduction through here, so we're gonna see how that comes into play, but they're gonna give it a much more solid feel. And then we'll look at the differences. You can see a little bit if you line up what we have here for the pivot and the axis. You can see a little bit of the changes through here that they've made. You know, made a little bit of difference, adjusted the lanyard hole a little bit. So these aren't going to line up and be an easy swap for swap. So we will do a swap on it using their pivot tool, which will be super helpful. We won't have to take the blade out. However, safety wise, you guys know, get some painter's tape or something, masking tape, but painter's tape is really great. Tape up that blade edge once you get it apart, or if you extend it open, either way. One other bit is, no pun intended, but you may need a second little driver and use two, you know, because these are through and through each side. So if they don't come off really easily, you may need a second one on standby. So we do have one on standby. But let's get a weight on this pre-scale installation, or scale upgrade, I should say, on this Taggedout. And I think this one's going to be 2.09 ounces. So just a hair over 2 ounces. We'll see if it increases at all when we do the swap out, and then we'll give it a feel for how we're going to get into it. So first off, let's go ahead. We'll get our T10 Torx bit. We'll get that lined up on there. We'll get this pivot out. You just have to take the male side of the pivot out and then drop that into your little handy little tray. This is a parts mat I got from Amazon for working on electronics. Silicone, you can use any sort of, you know, alcohol stuff to clean it. But yeah, just put it in there, rotate it. It's going to automatically find that flat spot. And obviously you can see the other side of the pivot popped right out. So we'll put that next to there. And we'll go ahead and get this side of the scale off first, using our T6 Tort. How about Torx? I like to do the barrel spacers first if I can, and I'm going to try to loosen up each side. So if we can get each side of the barrel spacers loosened up, that's going to benefit us in the long run, because these don't line up exactly perfectly with each other, and they usually get a good amount of Loctite on them. So you want to make sure to kind of do them at the same time. And then of course these are our liners right here. So we'll go ahead and take all these screws out. These are all T6s, same size. You don't have to get them in the exact location, but you may have to clean them off. Just depends on how much Loctite they put on there. And of course the other side of this one is going to be underneath the pocket clip. So hopefully we won't have too many troubles with that one when we get around to it. So there we go. This one came out. So we're just left with this one. We'll take this one out in hopes that we won't have to screw it in to get the other side out. And then we'll kind of take a peek really quick, because you know me, I like to see what it looks like really quick, but we'll take these off. Now I'll put links in the description to these scales and to this handy dandy pivot tool down in the description, so check those out. Now they're offering these G10 Flytanium scales in Jade G10 and black right now for $46. They also came out with a titanium and stonewash for $108, and then a black titanium for $118. So, you know, I mean, it's going to be wicked if these kick off and are great. I'd love to see a set of carbon fiber maybe come out too. So we'll go ahead and just probably take all this apart at one time, just because we're going to need to reinstall our barrel spacers. So this is where blade safety kind of comes into play. And you can see how this one's spinning a little bit. So I hope just a little bit of pressure in there to hold it in the hole. We get that barrel spacer out. It's also nice because these, you can kind of hear when they bounce. They don't go super far, but I like to put just a little bit of pressure on there. Hopefully this one will come out too. It looks like it is. Super. And I'll leave my liner screws in here just until I get the pocket clip off and this last barrel spacer. And then we'll transfer it over to the new scales and we'll get rolling on it. So let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want to see any other colors. I would love to see like blue G10 myself, of course. But I'm interested to see how these are going to feel because this is so thin, so slicey. It's a great cutting knife. And of course, you know, I have some other scales on another Taggedout already, so I had to get one of these so we could do the official swap out to Flytanium, their new offering. I really dig that crossfade look, so I'm hoping it'll give a little more access. Probably can't see it too much, but a little more extra access than what it is. So we'll compare it, we'll see. So we'll get it taken apart. We got the orange scales here. We'll put those up off to the side. And of course, we'll take a look. It's not too dirty. It's a brand new knife, so obviously not super dirty. I need to definitely tear this apart and put some Slick'em in there. So that'll be a future thing that we'll do. But let's go ahead and let's see here. Let's put on this side first. So we'll go ahead and get our barrel spacers. And you can see they've got little cutouts for them. You want to be careful. You know, these are actually kind of a square shaped. I don't know if you can see that, but these do have a square shape to them. So they will fit in there and not move too much, but if you put a lot of pressure on them, they will kind of tear up the scale. So you want to be gentle and just get them decently snug, but not over tight, and allow for a little bit of play in them because you want to get the other side in as well. So we'll get these installed real quickly, and then we'll get that knife put back together. And of course, I'll use some Loctite when I get done. You know, no need to show you guys the Loctite feature, but we'll get some Loctite on these screws and such. Once we get it all back together, we'll take them out one by one and put them in there. So this does change the location on two of the barrel spacers slightly in the lanyard hole. They didn't forget about the lanyard fans. They knew that lanyards are important, you know, especially for if it's a hunting or camping knife for you, or maybe just everyday carry. So we got those in there decently snug. That's pretty good. So we'll go ahead now. We'll get this side installed. You just place it right back over the pivot tool. You can see how the liners just line right up. So we'll go ahead and get these this one top liner screw in. And you want to leave these a little bit loose. And I'll explain that in a minute, but when you're getting the pivot reinserted, it's good to have a little bit of, I don't want to say too much play, but a little bit of play so it's not super tight, because you want to make sure this stud up here is solid on there, and then you want to make sure the other side matches up and everything goes smoothly. So I'm liking the black look to that. That looks pretty sick. So you can see this side slid right over top of that pivot tool, which is an awesome thing. You want to sandwich together and make sure all your barrel spacers marry up nicely, which we'll look off camera just a smidge, and they look pretty good. So we'll insert those, get those dialed back in a little bit. It looks good with that black and orange. What do you think? That looks good. I do feel it's going to be a little bit heavier than 2.09 ounces, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Now, would I like to see some milling on the inside of that? Personally, yeah. I mean, they could have made these a little thinner on the back end. They're a little chunky, but hey, you know, I'm a little chunky, so it's okay. You know, chunky's good, keeps you warm at night. But yeah, we'll get these barrel spacer ones just snug, and then now we'll get these last two in for our liners on this side. And then we'll get our pocket clip on, our pivot reinstalled. And then we'll want to make sure to basically, let's see here. This one's not grabbing, so I put a little pressure on the blade just so that way it'll push that liner up next to it. Because the blade's got a little bit of play because that pivot's not in there. Snugging everything up. But yeah, you'll have to let me know down in the description what you think of the color combo once we get it on display here in all its glory. And let me know if you're a G10 fan for these, or is titanium going to be your fan? So we do get a little bit more, not much, but a little bit more access. Not as much as the bug outs, but you can see already how it kind of gets slender through here. I dig that. I dig that. But we don't need, we could have slendered this out a little bit maybe. Maybe just made these a little thinner. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how it goes. These are drilled only for right-handed only carry. They do say in the notes that you can mention it, and they can drill and tap the other side for you before they ship them. So that's kind of a cool option as well. So we'll put this pocket clip back on with the other T6s, but these are a little bit longer than the others. So just notate that if you do tear it apart, these two screws are going to be a smidge longer than the body screws for this. So overall, we haven't put the pivot in. I think that's going to look pretty sick, especially with the orange. Okay, it's closing smooth. So we'll go ahead and get our T10 out, get that ready, and hopefully, you know what, I may have, let's loosen these up a little bit. I think I tightened these down when I said, you gotta leave these a little loose. Yeah. We'll just get our other handy Weehaw stubby that we love so much. Just loosen these up a little bit. It's gonna make the reinsertion or the reinsertion of the pivot much smoother and easier if those are a little bit looser. So just like we took it out, we'll find the flat part of this pivot right here, and we'll match it up with the flat part that says Flytanium right there. We'll pull back on the axis bar, relieves that tension. Boom. Pivot's in, tools out. Now we just need to get our male side of the pivot in. And I like to tighten this all the way down. So this is my little hint. I tighten it all the way down so the blade won't rally out. And then I always check for centering. So let me look off camera. That looks pretty good. What do you think centering wise? It's pretty on point. So you can see through there. Centering's on point. So now what we'll do, we'll take our T6, we'll tighten all these back up so they're nice and sturdy, and then we'll work on our pivot adjustment so we can make sure that the pivot's nice and smooth and that just kind of just free flows. And then we'll weigh it up here and see how we're gonna do with weight comparison. Okay, so now let's adjust this pivot a little bit. We'll back it out just maybe a quarter turn. Probably gonna still be too tight. Oh, it's not. Ooh, this is gonna be smooth. This is gonna be a smooth one. Oh, okay. What do you think? What do you think? Looking pretty awesome with these orange kind of pop of color. Now, the cool part is, if you want different screw colors, those kind of things, they sell that. They also sell a different kind of color, and you know, they have some little copper accents and other stuff for your access bar. So they also sell that on Flytanium's website. Ooh, this one's almost drop shutty. And that's not without much play at all. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's going to be smooth. Now, I will say, going from Gravity to G10, it way changes the feel of the knife. Now, as you can see, these are going to be thicker than the stock scales, right? So thickness wise, you're gonna get a little bit more out of these G10 than the stock FRN Gravity. So I'm guessing, if I had to guess on the weight, let's put a weight out there. How about 2.45? Let's see what we get out of it. Oh, 2.77. Okay, so it adds, 2.77. So you're looking at 0.6 or so of an ounce, almost half an ounce more than the Gravity. So, okay. So it kind of, it takes this lightweight knife and it makes it feel more solid for sure. So more EDC friendly in my opinion too. Maybe that's why they went with the thicker scales. But if I had any feedback myself, I would say let's go ahead, thin these out a little bit maybe, or put some internal milling. You got a really thick piece of G10 on each side, so it could probably take some internal milling. That might raise the cost a little bit, you know, but you're already doing the milling for the, you know, liners and the access bar and stuff and the pivot. So yeah, let's make those a little bit different. Now let's take a look and see how it compares to our good friends, the crossfade scales in titanium for the bug out. These are just sick. I love it. So I can only imagine what the titanium ones would do for this tagged out. Probably make it just next level. Now you can see here, pivot to pivot. You're a smidge longer in the blade. You're a smidge longer in the handle. Tagged out, bug out. Both have Flytanium scales. These are the crossfade. And you can see kind of that throwback to the milling pattern design. And it would be cool if they put this, maybe they come out with a crossfade one and just do that same milling through here, and that would lighten it up a little bit. And I know that I talked with them on the internals for the titanium ones, and they said on the titanium tagged out ones, they do have some internal milling to help with weight reduction. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff. Thank you for hanging out, watching this scale swap video. Check out the links below. Like I said, they call this modifly'd. Flytanium, you gotta love it. But overall, price, weight, the pivot tool, all super, super easy to swap out. Kind of makes it, you know, a one-stop shop, and I'm a fan of that. So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Thank you guys and gals for watching. Don't forget, hashtag DSKFS, do something kind for someone. Have an awesome rest of your day, but most importantly, take care.